Hi guys, Ryan here. Today I want to talk about cranks and crank lengths. So for first, when I started road cycling, I got basically what came on my bike, and that was a 172.5mm crank for a size 55 on my first KTM. And back then I didn't really know too much about it. I didn't really care, but to be honest, I wasn't extremely comfortable on that bike. And later on, when I got my first time trial bike, the people I spoke to advised me to run a longer crank length, so I switched to 175 because allegedly this enables you to put more power to the pedals. Back then, I didn't really have any kind of power meter or proper training plan, anything like that, so I just stuck to that, and I was extremely uncomfortable on that TT bike, even though I had quite a mellow position, not really aggressive like I run right now, and I didn't really know what was the thing about it. So later on my other bikes, I had basically 172.5 cranks on the road bike, kept the 175, and then on the TT bike, and then at one opportunity I got one of my friends was trying to switch his race cranks for longer ones, so I swapped the 175s to 172.5s on my bike with him, and that made it a little better, and that's really got me thinking. Later on I also got a power meter, and at one point in time I was forced to run my mom's bike, which is a size 49, and came with 170mm cranks. And that's when I started to realize that shorter crank lengths might actually make some sense. And I got to read about it a bit, and couldn't really find proper advice. But as a general rule of thumb, I found that most people are usually better off with running shorter cranks. Track riders and some sprinters, Bradley Wiggins, ran pretty short cranks for their length, so I decided to try them out. So first I switched to 170 because I know it was nothing too extreme, and immediately I really liked that. I had 170s on my road bike for basically the whole season right now, and I ran 170s for the time trial bike on most of my time trialing. And yeah, I think it enables me to run better cadence, smoother pedaling. Another thing that's quite important to me as I'm racing is that together with the Speedplay pedals, a shorter crank length creates an extremely good pedaling clearance, so you don't really need to worry about pedal strikes too much anymore. And then, when I was thinking about my cyclocross bike, I had the opportunity to get another Quarq, of course, and I decided to switch it up even more. And I have looked at some pro triathletes setups, which some of them run extremely short cranks on their TT bikes to basically just open up the hip angle, and that enables them to be fresher on the run afterwards. And generally speaking, I think triathletes are a little bit less conservative when it comes to bike setups, and I think there are some trends that could be quite useful even in cycling. So I decided to get these 165mm cranks for my TT bike because, well, on the road bike I didn't really need any change at all, but I thought that there's still some room for improvement with my TT bike. But then again, I didn't want to go all the way in because SRAM makes 2.5 cranks, but I don't know, I didn't have the guts to go all the way in, so I decided to get these 165s, and my first impressions are actually extremely good. So first, together with changing to a bit of a more modern position on the front, and also my now UCI legal saddle position with quite a lot of setback and also less reach, more stack. This enables me to open up the hip angle really quite a lot, and it makes the bike feel much more like a road bike in terms of position and putting down power. So I can do basically exactly the same power, maybe even a bit more, because I rest more for time trials and fresher warm-ups, etc. So I have all my power records for longer efforts on my time trial bike, which is, I think, quite remarkable if you talk about time trialing. And adding up the shorter crank to that, and it's just spot on, like super stable pedaling. I feel that my thighs don't come up as high, even though I'm in quite an aggressive position. It's still a bit of drop, around 7-8 centimeters or so. And yeah, I also have a slightly non-round ring. It's not ovalized, it's kind of a squashed shape. Very good chaining from Arc here. But I think this setup, like seen here, it just, I think I'm hitting all the right spots with it now, and I definitely like the shorter cranks. The pedaling clearance might not be as important on the time trial bike, and well, some might argue that you can't put the same amount of torque in there, but well, torque is not really all that important when it comes to cycling, because now we have gears and plenty of gear selections. So either just click up a gear, spin a higher cadence to get the same wattage. It's less fatigue for the legs, less fatigue again because you're not doing those large movements. And yeah, I think it's a better option all around. I have also felt with shorter cranks that I get slightly less pressure on the saddle, which again is quite a good benefit with the time trial position, because well, I'm just extremely comfortable and stable right now. So I think if you're struggling with the setup issues with either a TT bike or a road bike, I think road bikes are less sensitive to this because the position is not that aggressive, but I can definitely recommend you to run pretty, or at least try running some pretty short cranks, because it might be the solution for you, and it definitely was for me. Okay, so these are my experiences. If you have tried something like this, a bit of experimenting with crank length yourself, then don't hesitate to put your experiences in the comments down below. If you want to see more about my bike setups, which might be quite helpful to you if you're trying to go fast, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.